Hello everyone, this is Kat. Welcome back to My Hero Academia Podfics. Today I'll be reading a short one-shot entitled Floaty Feelings and Swings. Here's the summary. Izuku takes Aizawa's capture scarf and uses it as a swing in order to relieve some of his stress. It works. Kinda. Izuku wasn't feeling his best, and he's like 99% sure no one noticed because it was one of those, I'm actually dying inside right now, but I also still have enough energy to be me, I guess, kind of days, and he only broke down once in the bathroom, and there weren't any tears or anything, just a small panic session and he was good. Well, not really, but at least he didn't hold it in. Ugh, okay, he should stop trying to find positives right now, especially since he probably has a death wish, aka he stole his sensei's capture weapon, or, borrowed it, in order to hang it around a tree and create a makeshift swing, which he was now swinging on very slowly and staring at the small wooded area in front of him. He wasn't even trying to hide that he took it. He literally just saw it in the classroom, behind his teacher's desk, took it, and walked to the forest on campus. He had no real plan, just mindless ambition, maybe. Izuku's eyes drift down to the ground, staring at his feet that were swinging and the large space that was below him. Or, well, it wasn't too high up, but high enough for there to be a decently big gap. He just wanted to feel floaty, in a good way, and a normal swing at a normal high where his feet could touch the ground didn't really fulfill that need. The curly-haired boy shifts his gaze to the blue sky that he can see through the trees, swinging his legs more and letting the breeze hit him gently on his face. He goes back and forward, letting the feeling of flying through the air shove his earlier stress and making him let out a little giggle. It's almost as if he wasn't at school right now, as if he didn't have the world weighing down on his shoulders, and he was living in a universe where he could just be a kid. You know, I don't think that's how you're supposed to use Shota's scarf, little listener. Izuku snaps out of his head that was slowly falling into a void and glances down to Mike Sensei, blinking in confusion momentarily and making the man smile softly. Do you want to come down from there for me? The boy's hand tightens on the capture scarf. Not really, he says quietly, and Izuku looks down away from Yamada's eyes, slowly falling back into that void he so desperately wants to stay in. To stay on that high upswing in the air and feel less overwhelmed, to feel less like he was obligated to follow what everyone wants and instead, just for once, do what he wants. Okay, kiddo. Izuku doesn't process Hisashi walking away, only quietly looking down at his shoes and trying to muster up the will to continue swinging. But the gentleness of his current little motions made it hard to not just sit there in his own head, back and forward, back and forward. Was it symbolic? To be in a line going forward and backwards, never in a loop, but instead a stupid line of hope that just gets crushed, or that he just goes back to the start, trying to hope again, and maybe he was just being stubborn. Maybe this was just life, but it doesn't make sense anymore. What's funny is that he'll be okay again tomorrow, because tomorrow's a new day, and these feelings are just temporary. He knows. He knows. Izuku only registers that he's crying when a thumb comes up and wipes away at his cheek. His eyes flicker up to meet dark ones. Aizawa. Let's get you down, okay, kid? Right, maybe he does want down from this. It's not right, but what is right if this isn't? He's so lost, but by God, he does know one thing. Izuku wants a change. So he jumps down and lets his teacher take the capture weapon down, and he lets himself be led by his hand to the teacher's dorm. So, you used my capture weapon as a swing, huh? The tired man questions as he sits Izuku down on the couch in his dorm room, looking softly toward his dazed-looking student. The boy only nods, looking over to Hisashi, who was standing nearby, face full of concern but still smiling gently. I used it the same way when I was back in school. You know, hell, Hisashi will still use it that way. When I forced him to let me, of course, Hisashi comments, chuckling at Shota's light-hearted glare towards him. Yes, well, Aizawa turns back to Izuku and crouches by where he sits, laying a hand gently on his head. Can you tell me why you took my scarf without asking? The tired man questions in a quiet, non-threatening voice, trying his best not to send Izuku further into whatever his mind was currently trapping him in. Izuku leans further into Aizawa's hand when he ruffles his hair, sniffling softly and bringing up a hand to rub away new tears that were forming. Kid, hey, Aizawa frowns in worry, scooting over slightly when Hisashi crouches by his side and brings up a soft tissue to wipe at the boy's cheeks. I'm not mad at you for taking it. More impressed, honestly. It's okay. Listen to Sho here, Bean. He usually has that scarf on him at all times, and you managed to snatch it. That takes a lot of talent right there. Hisashi hums, running the tissue very gently over Izuku's eyes. And Izuku soaks in the attention, not quite feeling overwhelmed, but just trying to feel better. I know you might not believe it right now when I say it's okay, but it will be. It'll be okay, Izuku, Aizawa says firmly and blinks when the boy's gaze shoots up to him. You... Izuku chokes out, letting a small noise come out as well when Hisashi takes his hand and squeezes it reassuringly. I know that it'll be okay, and that even when it's not okay right now, that it will be okay. I tell myself that, and I believe it, but you... He leans forward slightly, craving a hug in which Aizawa was ready to provide. The tired man wraps his arms around the boy, and Izuku immediately clutches at the man's shirt with his free hand, hiding his face in his shoulder. Someone else saying it, it's better than hearing it from myself. They stay silent like that for a few good minutes, until Izuku pulls away from the hug and looks up at the two adults with a pitiful look, but he does crack a tiny smile. I just took the scarf without really thinking. Sorry. I didn't even see if you were there to see me take it, Izuku admits sheepishly, then stares off to the side. I'm better now, thank you. I'm sorry for worrying you. It's okay, little listener. There's absolutely no need to apologize, yeah? We won't be mad at you for having a bad day, or just not feeling your best in general, Hisashi reassures, making Izuku nod lightly. Exactly what Zashi said. Aizawa pats Izuku's knee just once, smiling at Izuku with one of his rare dadzawa smiles. If you ever feel that bad again, just come to me or Hisashi, okay? We don't have to talk, not if you can't. Izuku nods again, watery eyes releasing a few last tears in which he tries to wipe away on his own, but Hisashi is quicker than that, bringing up another tissue and wiping them away with ease. Izuku mumbles out a very quiet thank you, which makes Hisashi smile warmly. Then, when Aizawa takes off his capture weapon, Izuku tilts his head in confusion, then proceeds to squeak when the scarf is placed around his neck. He blinks, raising his hands up to grip at the scarf and look at his teacher with a bewildered look. Your control over it's impressive, at least when it is for a swing. Aizawa smirks. If you want, you can go out and swing with it again. Just don't let any of the other problem children touch it. The tired man pauses, seemingly thinking for a moment. If Shinso wants to swing with you, that's fine. He has his own scarf, though, so don't let him touch mine. He thinks it's different from his own, in which it's not, by the way, but I don't want him to know so that he can figure it out on his own. But isn't that kind of mean? Not the letting me use the scarf, but shouldn't Shinso know that your scarves are the same? He should know that you work just as hard as he's working to learn it. Izuku stutters, head ducking somewhat as he doesn't want to see a glare or... It's more for his own benefit. Plus, I'm almost positive he already knows. Aizawa sighs, but his voice doesn't raise, and he ruffles the boy's hair again. I promise. He'll be fine. The kid knows I'm going hard on him no matter what he thinks or says. Izuku flushes a light red, and he hides his face a little in the capture scarf in embarrassment, but nods nonetheless. He fidgets with the end of the scarf, eyes staring down at the floor. I don't think I want to swing anymore. Not today, at least. I felt too floaty, like I wasn't there. The boy brings up his legs to his chest, laying his cheek on his knee. You can stay here for a bit, then. I'd like to keep an eye on you, make sure you don't go anywhere floaty again, okay? Aizawa says, standing when Izuku nods his head in agreement and walks around Hisashi toward his room. Izuku watches him go and come back with a fluffy blanket in one arm and a cat in the other, both of which he deposits onto Izuku. Hisashi helps get the boy cozy and settles that kitty onto his lap, and which Izuku immediately starts to pet, and he visibly lights up when he gets purrs from her. Both of the men seem to sigh in relief as soon as they leave to the kitchen in order to make something for the kid. That was scary, in a way, seeing Izuku so lost and not reacting to either of them for a good bit. It's a good thing Hisashi found him when he did. The boy looked like he would have gotten more lost if he didn't get Shota. But now they have some stuff to work on with the boy. It'll take time, but they hope that Izuku will approach them when he needs the comfort and reassurance. For now, however, he can have his swing as much as Aizawa prefers to keep his capture weapon on him. He can lend it from time to time. As long as it's only to Izuku and not to anyone else who would lose it, he does not trust his class with it. And the next day, when he goes out into the woods to see Izuku swinging with his capture scarf again, this time with permission, he decides to mess with the boy by grabbing the end of the scarf that's hanging down and moving the scarf so that it's spinning the boy in circles. He at first lets out a startled squeak, but then starts giggling after he realizes it's just his teacher messing with him. And no, his class does not find him pushing Izuku back and forward with just the scarf itself, no hands needed other than hanging on to the end still. And no, they do not get to try to get a turn in when he denies them, but Izuku gets to keep swinging all the while, and he's talking to his friends enthusiastically. The boy needed this more, and quite frankly, the rest of his class can just go to the swings they actually have at a small park that Nezu built on campus. He wasn't that soft. You know what? He wasn't soft at all. Stop thinking that he is. Aizawa wonders if he can make the scarf go swinging in bigger circles, kind of like that one carnival ride. All right, everyone, this concludes Floaty Feelings and Swings. I really like this one. It's very short and sweet. It's a nice parental dadzawa and parental Yamada Hisashi as well. I think that they do a really nice job of conveying the feelings that Izuku's having in this one and how he just needed a little extra support. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, thank you so much for listening.